What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. I'm Savannah, and today I'm gonna go over probably my number one asked question, which is, what is it actually like to do CPR? Followed by, how many times have you done CPR? Things like that. Now, I know for the general public, CPR is not something that's just thrown at them ever. And unfortunately, when CPR does happen to someone like a member of the general public, typically it's a family member or they're involved or are close to some type of like critical accident, typically a motor vehicle collision, something like that. So it's usually very, very dramatic. And, it's a lot on that person because they know them, they're family members. And even further, it's like if they had to do CPR, help someone the very first time, it was the worst situation ever. Like they were involved or they watched that car accident, they have trauma from that. As a first responder, when we're going to a call, so on the fire truck, if we are responding, we're not responding as if it's our emergency. We are going with empathy and we were getting there as fast as we can, but it is not our emergency. It is our regular job to go to those things. So CPR becomes almost second nature. It takes a long time. I still remember the very first time that I ever did CPR, and that was as a volunteer firefighter. And the noises, the smells, the people there are things that I will never forget because it was the first time and it was overwhelming. So what is it actually like to do CPR? First off, it's always overwhelming. The situation is always different. For us responding as firefighters, when we're getting there, typically there's family members. If it's a senior, we're going to a house, there's someone there. We're trying to figure out the situation. They're trying to tell us what's going on here. So it's very rushed, not panicked, right? If you saw a firefighter panic, how do you think you would respond? You're like, oh shit, she's freaking out. I need to be freaking out. I already am freaking out, but it's 10 times worse. Firefighters are like ducks. So on the surface, we look cool and calm. Sometimes we're good looking. But underneath the surface, we're paddling like fucking hell underneath that water. Our feet are just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. So we put on this persona that everything's cool, and it is cool because we're trained to do that and we know how to react, and our adrenaline kicks us back into our training. But there's a lot of factors that go into just the initial going and finding that person. I feel like every time I've done CPR, I knew that I was gonna do CPR. There hasn't been that many times where I've looked at a patient before I even really touched them that I thought that I was questioning myself, right? It's like if you were in that position and you see that person, for me, I get a sense, I get a feeling, not like some supernatural thing. It's just looking at the patient, to be honest. There's so many factors that you're just kind of sizing up that scene, as we call it, and you're taking it all in. And in my head, I'm already, okay, we're probably gonna have to do CPR. What are the next steps, right? Starting CPR, going through all of our ABCs. Starting CPR is the absolute worst part of CPR. So first you have to get that person to a better position so that you can actually do compressions on them, and so that we're in a space big enough that when medics arrive, and usually at a VSA means vital signs absent, we will have 2 ambulances arrive. So you need to make sure that there's more than enough room for yourself. So usually there's 3 or 4 firefighters on that crew, and then another 4 paramedics arriving, and sometimes a supervisor. So that's a very full room. So you're moving that patient, which can be chaotic, and lots of times, unfortunately, people go unconscious or go into cardiac arrest in very small spaces, including bathrooms, which is surprising to people. But when we don't feel well, where do we go? We'll go to the bathroom. So lots of times we're sneaking people out of there and then actually starting CPR. So for myself, I've been on 6 years as a full-time firefighter, but on my truck, I'm still the junior person, so the rookie. So my job is to assess the patient, kind of make that call. We're relying on each other, but make that call and start compressions if that's what that patient needs. And starting compressions, especially the older that person gets, things are moving around and making noise, and it's not fun. So basically what happens when we start CPR, when we're doing CPR, the older that person is, when we're compressing on their chest, we are pushing down 2 inches on an adult. When we do that, what happens is we can actually break up the cartilage that connects the ribs to the sternum, and lots of times we are breaking some of the small parts of the ribs that are connected. So the older the patient is, absolutely that's happening. To be honest, it completely sucks, and it is for me. I don't look at faces, and I just squeeze my butt, the pucker factor, a little bit, hold my breath, and just get it over with. It's not like I'm jumping on the chest and giving it 100 pounds of pressure at that point. I'm just jump right into it, the amount of pressure that you know you need, get it over with, as in, all that cracking noises and all that uncomfortable stuff. And then CPR just is motion, right? It's repetitive. You want it to be 100% perfect CPR, so we're constantly alternating between crew members and paramedics. And it ends up being a pretty incredible team dynamic between the fire department and the paramedics, as best as we can. We're doing everything we can as fast as we can in a meaningful way to be able to help that person. So you can have a geriatric patient and you will literally have a depression in their chest because there's just no recoil. A younger person, that's not gonna happen, okay? So I've done compressions on I think they were like 26. You can't always tell, 26, and they were overdosing, and at that point they had gone VSA. So they had stopped breathing, and then they had gone into cardiac arrest because it had gone too long. And doing compressions on someone like that, it feels a lot different than if you're doing compressions on a 60-year-old or a 95-year-old. It is different, but it's the exact same tactics. Stick to 120 beats per minute, 2 inches of depth, and keep some kind of rhyme in your head. We do not sing out loud in the fire service. That would be uncalled for, but just keeping concentrated that way and switching. It is not a fun thing to do, but it's something that if you're thinking about a career in the fire service or as a paramedic, in nursing, as a doctor, ski patrol, anything like that, it's something that, you don't know how you're going to react until you actually do it, see it, and get through it. You can't realistically prepare yourself other than taking as many courses as you can and feeling as confident as you can before anything happens. Ask questions, ask for help, take a course. CPR needs to be taken every year. Healthcare providers, we take it every year. So if you can, try to take it every year. It's not something fun. Definitely talk about it, but it's something that happens. So if you're out there and you have done CPR, thank you for jumping in and helping. And if, sometimes you're sitting there and you're not always thinking about, like me, butterflies and unicorns and pretty incredible things, but you're thinking about this dark thing that happened to you, just know that's completely normal, because CPR is now a normal part of my life. And I still think about those things, especially when it goes back to like that first call or a traumatic call. There's a proper way to manage all of that so that I don't let it continuously affect me and affect my life. A healthy way to manage those things. But just know that if you're thinking about that and you can't really tune it out, you need to talk to someone. It's not normal to do CPR. It's not normal to see a dead person. Those are not normal things. So it's okay to be, thinking about those things and processing all of it. If you are applying to be a first responder, we offer a course. It's a mental first aid course offered through the Canadian Red Cross. So at Rural Rescue, we offer that, and it is completely online. So it has, it's jam-packed with amazing techniques on mental first aid, which is so important. If you are struggling with anything, and you want to maybe improve on that, that you're going into an industry with high call volume, those types of things that can be dramatic, definitely look into it. Reach out for us. We'd love to talk to you about it. Also, if you're applying for any jobs in the fire service, paramedics, those types of things, it's another great course to add to your resume. It's so competitive out there. So yeah, reach out to us. We'd love to be able to help you with that. It's a very rewarding course for first responders.